thank you everyone for having me here. I'm excited to present about hire. So I'm going to start out with a question. How many of you are leaders? Raise your hand. Oh, come on. You're all leaders. Leadership begins with how you lead yourself. Now, what are the two most important things for leaders? Anyone know?
Strategy.
Strategy is one of them. What's the other?
Emotional intelligence.
No, that's number 3. Vision. Without a vision, how do you know what strategy is doing? Actually, there's a lot of companies that are doing strategy without vision, and that's why they're in problems. My background, I'm Tim Bojko, and I've worked with Fortune 100 companies leading some of the biggest divisions in the world. I've taken some of the worst divisions, turned them around, and won J.D. Power and Associate Award, and I did it through culture. Culture is super important because it supports your vision, and it supports the strategy executing that vision. Now, with that, there's an interesting statement. How many of you have worked in corporate America? How many of you have worked in senior leadership roles in corporate America? There's a very common saying that you've probably heard. Culture eats strategy for lunch or breakfast. I've usually heard the breakfast side. Your culture is always consuming your strategy. Why is that? Well, that's why hire was created. See, companies have all kinds of systems, from the basics of electricity, internet, telecommunications, to financial systems to watch all the money coming in, money going out. They also have payroll systems, CRM, ERPs, and all these other systems that give us data about our business, the relationships, the processes, so forth. I'm a Green Belt Lean Six Sigma. If you don't know what that means, it's all about measuring process, measuring how things go from one place to another in any facet that you can think of. But what's missing? We don't measure culture. Leaders are blind to culture. I've led organizations of over 1,000 people, and I'm completely blinded to the culture of what's going on. Oh, we paint on our walls trust, transparency, all these other words, but yet we have no data to back it up. And the culture is literally destroying companies one after another, eating the strategy for breakfast. And so this is what we've created. We're the first company to ever create a cultural intelligence platform. Because what makes up your culture? 2 things. Your reactive behavior under pressure and your reactive values under pressure. Now, what do I mean by that? You guys are in a business meeting. You get a phone call from your top client, your biggest consumer, and they come in and they're like, sorry, Noah, we got to drop you guys. Too expensive. We found a competitor that is better than you guys. At that moment, let's say there's $1 million client and they just walked out of your door. What is your reactive behavior in that moment? Is it to go find an account rep and chew them out? How many of you have been in that situation? The boss comes breathing down your throat, blaming you, yelling at you, cursing you out. That is the real culture of your organization. That's the real value in action of your organization. How about this approach? That same situation, client leaves. The leader takes a deep breath, calms himself down, walks into the room, pulls the team together. Hey guys, got some bad news. We just lost our customer, but I know I have capable people around us. Let's get together, let's get a brainstorming session together, and how do we win another client? See the difference? Exactly, love it. Dexter gets this. This is the difference on how culture helps build winning teams that execute amazing strategy. So hire is built on an amazing technology. We come in and how we work with companies is we first do discovery. As a part of discovery, we evaluate the leaders of an organization. And from there, we collect over 300 data points about the individual, showing us their internal neurological wiring. Because your reactive behaviors are literally happening because of the wiring from inside of you. From that discovery, we put together a custom strategy and dashboard with other intelligence data, and we turn that into insights for them. And from there, we begin to roll out the cultural intelligence infrastructure to not only transform the organization and the leaders, but to sustain it long term so that it is not lost in the future. And I'm going to back up here on the discovery side. The platform we've created has been validated by UC Berkeley, UC Irving, Kellogg, Northwestern. We've worked with a lot of respected psychologists. Currently, one of our existing clients is actually the King Center over in Atlanta, Georgia. We have the full endorsement of Dr. Bernice King. We're actually the first company she has ever endorsed in her career. And so we've got a lot of success. Two of our clients, one of them just sold for $100 million. When they came to us, their sales were struggling. And we're like, yeah, you guys got a major culture problem. Your sales leader is driving this by fear. Changed the culture of the leader, did the coaching with the leader, showed them the data, got them the articulate insights, and literally with it was about 4 months later, sales went up by over 150%. Another organization, they were having turnover problems. We came in there, did our work, exposed the data, gave them the tailored plan, and within 6 months, the turnover went to zero. Their chief HR officer called their CEO, who then called us and said, guys, you just saved us $1.92 million. This stuff works. When you put data behind culture and you change culture to support your strategy, people feel fulfilled, they love what they do, and revenue becomes a byproduct instead of a focal point. So when we're working in the discovery, we're always assessing throughout the year. We recommend 3 times a year for optimal performance. And so we're taking snapshots, and these snapshots is literally what shows the cultural flowing throughout the organization. You can see how different kinds of pressures are impacting people, and then of course correct through whatever we're seeing in the culture. On the business side of it, there's a one-time implementation fee that we charge. We come in as a part of discovery. That's all part of our one-time implementation. And then there's our annual infrastructure agreement. And of course, that depends on the size of the organization. If you sign a multi-year agreement with us, of course, we give generous discounts with that. On top of that, our add-ons are our premium coaching services and corporate board advisory services as well. So we do group training as well as an add-on service, one-on-one coaching, and we also do train-to-trainer. Some of our clients really love what we do, and so some of the things we've created, I'm the creator of the Surrendered Leadership Framework, and companies and HR are absolutely loving that. I'm in the process of writing my second book about that topic. My business partner, he's the creator of the Heart First Regulation Framework. This has now been endorsed by 3 cardiac doctors and surgeons because the Heart First Framework is actually what regulates the human being. It is not your brain that's telling you what to do, it is your heart. The Heart Math Institute, an organization we work with very closely, has over 40,000 neurons in your heart. And it is the wiring of your heart that is literally guiding all of your reactive behaviors. Your brain is not in control. Your heart is.
1 more minute, Tim.
1 minute? Okay. So we also do personal one-on-one coaching. About a month ago, we've now launched into the B2C side of things. And on our one-on-one executive coaching, similar process, we validate who you are. We then activate who you are so that you can accelerate into being who you're made to be. I'm literally a walking testimony of this. That's actually how I got into this. There was an executive coach who was using this technology, used it on me. If you'd have met me 3 years ago, I was 334 pounds. I healed from the inside out. I rewired from the inside out. And weight loss was just a physical byproduct of the change that happened inside. Another testimony, I just celebrated my 2 weeks ago, celebrated a 17th anniversary with my wife. And my wife came to me, thank you. My wife came to me and she goes, Tim, it's been amazing. You're the man I've always dreamed you would become. We have not had one argument in over 2 years. Why? I know how to process my emotions. I know how to make sure the presence of where I am, whether like what Dapple was talking about earlier, always being cognizant and aware of where you're balancing that pressure, completely changed me. So anyway, it works. I'm literally a walking testimony. Our revenue engine, of course, the one-time implementation fees, reoccurring software alliances with the platform, and then of course expansion with our advisory services, retreats that we do, and all other coaching. We also do partnering network. CPAs are like our largest partners. They love reselling this stuff to us because if you're in the CPA world, guess what? You're dealing with all the stress of the reworks of your clients during tax season, which adds to more your rework. CPAs have been loving what we do, and they become resell partners of us. And of course, as I mentioned, we make money on the strategic board advisory of boards that we sit on. This is a small business example of what pricing would look like. So we work with the leaders. So roughly, if you have a 250 employee organization, roughly 10% of that is about 25 leaders. And so the discovery for a company that size is about 4,500, takes a couple of months. And then the software platform is about $9,000. And then reoccurring on a no contract reoccurrence would be $9,000 a year. Obviously, with multiple contracts, we give discounts to that. Investors love us. We do have some investor backing already, small investor backing. And what they love about us is this right here. The Living Culture DNA dashboard is what sets us apart, and it's what we're known for. We actually had the CEO of Myers-Briggs last year reach out to us. And he goes, I love what he asked for a demo because he heard about what we're doing and how we're changing the industry. And he's like, this cultural DNA is just disruptive and amazing. And he goes, we've been trying to build something like this for 10 years at Myers-Briggs, and we have not been successful. He goes, kudos to you to be so accurate in measuring culture, and you guys are going to disrupt this industry. And that's it. Oh, and then here's my contact information. As I said, we are launching B2C, so you go there and do some of this on your own. But yeah, you can get a hold of me that way.
First of all, great presentation, and congrats to all your success in both professional and personal, and including this business. I'm just curious about the cultural intelligence DNA kit, the dashboard, what the assessment actually looks like. Is it just self-reports from employees, or is it like all levels of the organization? Are they reporting on themselves like a 360-degree assessment, or what does that kind of look like?
Sure. So our assessment takes about a half hour. It's about a 300-question assessment, but we also take your picture. So we're watching your nonverbals. Our assessment's so powerful and so accurate because we can know the difference between you actually answering and a mask answering. If you're positively biasing, we will detect it, we'll invalidate your results, we'll shut it down right there. We're the only assessment that can do that, to my knowledge. That is where we get the accuracy from. And so, I hear some people say when they hear over 300 questions, they go, oh my gosh, it's like, oop, you got a resilience problem. If you cannot sustain yourself with a positive attitude, doing something you don't like over a long period of time, you are not going to be a good leader. And if you already are a leader, you need some coaching. From that data, though, we take those data points, we summarize it into 39 traits, 24 behavioral-based traits, 15 value traits. And again, these are the traits from your nervous system. This is what your nervous system is literally causing you to act out when reactive pressures happen in life. You're not always, most of the time, you're not consciously aware of this. When I took this for the first time, I was not aware of a lot of these things. And so from there, we take all that data, we remove the names and all the PII, so the project identity of people, and then we merge it all together into our cultural dashboards. And from the cultural dashboards, we create DNA scores. And from those DNA scores, it literally sets the bar of where your organization or that specific team or department, depending on what level you're going to drill into, is. And now you can work with HR and leaders to do an actual tailored talent investment strategy based on who the people really are, and they can learn based on who they are wired to be. Yes, no.
Is there a certain culture you try to mold these teams into?
So give me a little more context.
So, like you say, you know, you just use your example with the 300-word question. Somebody, oh my gosh, like, oh, they have a resilience issue. Well, somebody like me, well, that would be looked at like, I might complain about it, but I'm still going to do it. So it's just, I'm upset I got to do it. So that culture is like, I can deal with those type of people. Obviously, I can't deal with ones that don't want to do things, but that type of culture is different from the other side. But both of them still have the same action.
Sure.
So from the data, it will show you where people are with their behaviors. And from there, it's up to where the leaders want to take it. Again, we provide the data to give you guardrails of where things are to make it visible, because you cannot change what you cannot measure. And so our goal is just to bring visibility to you. And if you're satisfied with where that is, now you're just using the data to ensure it sits on there, because if you bring on a new employee, it's going to change. If you bring on new contractors, new consultants, it's going to change. And so from that perspective, it's like, if you're happy where it's at, great. Now you got your baseline. Now you can see how new people are impacting the culture. Does that make sense? So yeah, we don't come in with any preset numbers or anything like that. It's a conversation based on the values that you paint on your wall. I mean, how many of you have been into big corporate town hall meetings? Oh, we value trust and leadership and transparency. Yeah, and you're giving a presentation that has been reviewed by HR, legal, client comms, and who knows who else as you're delivering it to the organization. Like, come on, be real, people. Anyone?
Question. So, what if you do the cultural DNA mapping, of the organization, and the executive on top is running in contrast to that? Like, so do you do like for one thing, the executive search, or do they end up sometimes replacing that individual as a result of the organization's fine, the leadership's bad? Or is it just the leadership now moves closer to what your findings?
So we actually have I have a true story to answer that question with. We had an organization where the CEO thought that it was the sales team leader and the management under that sales team that was wrong. So they brought us in to evaluate, and actually we evaluated the manager and all the people, and the first two times, none of them validated successfully, meaning as they're answering, the first two times when they were answering the way they wanted their boss think they wanted them to answer. And we could prove it by the way they're answering the questions. And they call it positively biasing. And we went to the CEO and we're like, look, even your leaders are so afraid of you, they cannot answer truthfully to our assessment. And so we'd like you to take the assessment. Well, his first response was an angry snap back at us. Oh, it's not me, it's your, and I won't repeat his exact words, but it's your assessment is the problem. And it's like, no, sir. Our stuff is validated by a lot of top-level psychologists and deep experts in their fields. It's not us. It's you. You're the problem. And so what happened in that situation, unfortunately, I mean, he's the boss. He's the one that hires and expends. We did not earn him as a client, unfortunately. And unfortunately for the people underneath, they actually were a good organization. They just had a crappy leader. When private equity is involved, I've had so many conversations with private equity folks because they are so blinded to the bottom dollar, and they don't see that it's like, hey, you changed the culture, the bottom dollar is going to go up. But yet private equity has not. If you found a private equity manager that isn't like that, please let me know, because I have not found one yet, and I've talked to many of them. But yeah, to that point when the leadership is corrupt, our successful clients, like the two I was talking to you about, it happened because the leader he was a bad leader, but he had gotten to the point where I'm open to learn to change.
So it feels very buttoned up. You've got a lot of expertise. It seems like you kind of know your business really well and you know how to like develop it. I'm just wondering, what is your biggest challenge as a business, and like what's your biggest bottleneck that we could help you with?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, a platform like this is very expensive to build. Behind the scenes, there's 10 people that are engineers, psychologists, neuroscientists, and AI people. All of our money has gone into building the product. Where we need help is on the marketing side. And all of our business has been word of mouth, which is really good. It speaks to what we do. Every company we've ever landed, every organization we've ever landed, even nonprofits, has all been through referrals. And because when people go through this and they see how well it works, that's the story. And so our biggest hurdle right now is getting into the marketing side of it. And it's really about capital to really invest in some major marketing campaigns. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my question too. Is your customer journey, your go-to-market strategy? Do you go out and give talks on leadership? Go to conferences and then get a capture, a percentage of that and convert some of those folks. And what do those rooms look like? So, like, how do you find that?
Yeah, well, this is where we've had to pivot a little bit because I spent last year, because we're a young company too, I spent all of last year focusing on HR. And I'm like, ooh, HR, they'll love this. And guess what? They did. They do love this. HR leaders love what we have. They're like, they preach culture. I mean, what HR person doesn't preach culture? It's like they're always preaching culture. And it's like, now you have data to back up what you have for HR. And then I learned a really hard lesson. The chief HR officer is not at the big person's table. They love our stuff. They just have no authority to pull the financial trigger. And so earlier this year, we've pivoted. We've created new white papers based on our case studies with our current customers that show the tie between this cultural intelligence platform and your revenue. And so now my ask of the 1 Million Cup is looking for the right speaking opportunities to present this in front of the CEOs, in front of the CFOs, so that they can literally see the tie between culture and revenue.
Have you thought about approaching, say, for instance, the Fort Worth Chamber and giving a talk, on leadership? Because a lot of their membership, they're going to be large companies in Fort Worth. You're providing them with content, for their membership. That's adding value to them. And you can talk about, some of the managerial changes, some of the executive changes, some of the organizational strategies. Would that be a pathway to you connecting with some of the folks around?
I'd appreciate it. If you have a contact for that, I'd appreciate that. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm aware of the chamber, but I don't have any contacts there.
Let's do one more question.
Yes, I want to know with this framework of how you've created this, I wonder, working in the restaurant industry and doing the hospitality, I wonder what would be your view as far as how it will actually help the culture, even even small mom and pops stores or just big national like HRS hosts or international airport concession stands, or need this probably because I work with them as well, or they need this right here for sure because it deals with a lot of what is needed. So, have you ever had any other companies that you work with as far as the restaurant industry?
We've not worked with any restaurant industry companies, at least not yet. We actually, interestingly enough, had, I won't say their name because you all will know them, but one of the leaders from one of the health companies here in Fort Worth reached out to me. And they're like, our culture sucks. I heard about you guys. I'd like to do something, but heads up, we're heavily owned by private equity. I was like, oh, okay, that's the word. But no, to your point, we've not worked with anyone in the restaurant industry, not yet anyway. For small mom and pop shops and the smaller companies, for them, we just take them through the one-on-one executive coaching. because really you'll have such breakthrough in your company just by changing as an individual. So we just do the one-on-one coaching for that. But for the companies where you're starting to get 50 plus employees, because you got to have several leaders then. At that point, you have 5 leaders. And now we can start to measure the culture of your organization as it's literally the behavior and values of your people, of your leaders.
Tim, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
And as a reward for coming out and sharing your company and your experience with us, I want to present you with this 1 Million Cups tumbler. And of course, as you've already touched on, as a 1 Million Cups community, we want to be here to help you. So what can this 1 Million Cups community do for you?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we just launched our consumer side. So we're looking for feedback on the journey. I know one of my neighbors already went through and gave me a bunch of feedback, and I'm like, yes, this is what I'm looking. He's like, Tim, but you're not gonna get mad at me? I'm like, no, yeah, I'm not. No, I want to know. Just tell me. So thehire.net, you'll see that we focus on universities, companies, but then there's now a new focus on you and developing you. And so you can take and get a lightweight report for 99 cents. And the full-blown version report is $149. So that's one thing I'm encouraging people to do. And then the other thing, as I mentioned before, with the referrals. Right now we are a referral-based business. I forgot to mention, we do pay for referrals. So if we close business, depending on what type of business we close, we do pay referrals. So thank you guys.
Well, I appreciate it. Tim, if you'd be so kind as to sign our pop-up banner of fame. I believe we have a marker here. And I want to take you